But thank you very much. Welcome all to the second edition of our technology forum called LaTeX. We are delighted to have many of you back from our first edition in 2021, and welcome to all our the new companies participating either as speakers or attendees. What is the idea of LaTeX, and what we decided to put that platform together? Our purpose is to provide a platform for tech companies based in the UK or Latin America, where they are able to share experiences, technologies, and hopefully find synergies and opportunities. As we all know, technology is at the heart of the modern life. The implementation of technology has accelerated after the pandemic, but nevertheless, there is still a gap between Latin America and the developed economies such as UK. We have recently seen some countries experiencing significant growth, indicating that the region will catch up soon. We have great examples today of some innovation that is innovation from Latin America, of technology companies doing amazing progress. Today, we are delighted to have Alex, our keynote speaker from DataWheel, a Mexican tech company, an unicorn based in the US that has helped the US government to understand and visualize the critical issues. Apologies for that. The critical issues facing the United States in areas like job, skills, and education. And of course, using all of that information to shape policy. So, Alex, welcome to the event. We are delighted to have you here. Thank you for accepting this invitation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So
excellent. So, Alex, I'll let you manage your presentation. I know you have a presentation to show.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Thanks for that introduction. I thought that was really well put. So I'm going to share my screen here. And if you could just confirm that you can see my presentation, that'll let me know I can start.
Yes. Great. Yes, we can see.
Perfect. Thank you. So first, I did want to start by thanking LaTeX 2021 for having me this year, and for all of you that are out there listening to this talk that I'm about to give. And so diving right in, the theme of my talk today is going to be about data visualization, and more specifically about the current paradigm in using data for decision making and building tools around that, and specifically about how some of those paradigms are broken right now and what my company DataWheel has been doing to try to solve that. So I want to start by looking at a map that you see here. And this is actually a map from a video game, Civilization 3, that I used to spend way too many hours playing when I was younger. But I think it's a great example because maps are a type of visualization that we're all familiar with. That it's very intuitive. We grow up learning maps, taking geography classes, learning the shapes of countries, capitals, all of that stuff. But a lot of times what we don't realize is that there's a lot more going on, and we are all proficient in data visualization in this way. And especially now in the age of smartphones, we might be more used to seeing something like this. So this is a screenshot from the app Waze. Probably anyone that's been stuck in traffic has probably used this. But really, they're gamifying something that is a data visualization and is meant as a way of wayfinding. And what's so interesting here is that there's so many different layers of information that are stacked on top of this map. You can see things like real-time traffic. You can see locations of stores, of restaurants, and most importantly, you can see the directions to the destination that you're going to. So I'm going to now show another map here. This is a map of the countries that export diamonds. And looking at this map, we may not realize how misleading this can be. So looking at this, we might think, well, maybe Russia or South Africa are the top exporters of diamonds. But simply by changing the visual metaphor that we're using or the type of visualization, we might see a slightly different picture. So I'm going to now change the visualization to be looking at what's called a tree map, where we're looking at the proportional share of each of those countries and the exports sized by the rectangle that they have. And here we can see actually the UK and Belgium are the largest exporters of diamonds. Russia and South Africa come in at third and fourth. And what we may not realize is here Israel shows up as the seventh largest. We can see it with this visualization. With the previous, there's barely a pixel devoted to that. So just by changing the lens in which we're looking at data, we're starting to glean a lot more of that information. So getting back to the main topic here, the central theme about using data visualization to tell more complete stories, making predictions, trends, all of that stuff. The question that then begs answering is, how can we do that? And what is the way in which we can build tools to do that? And so the way we like to think about this at Data Wheel is about this sort of ladder or elevator of rising challenges that we need to solve in order to get towards things like automation and analysis. We get a lot of clients coming to Data Wheel asking about doing things like predictive analytics, machine learning, AI, all of that stuff. And a lot of times what we have to tell them is you have to start at that base layer. You have to start at the data layer, integrate that, distribute that to be able to move on to those further challenges. And there's a great article in the New York Times saying that around 80% of data science work is data janitorial work. And I don't know if it's exactly 80%, but I tend to agree with that in the sense that a lot of the work we do starting on new projects, working with clients, is around aligning messy data files, matching different standard classifications, normalizing data, working with metadata, all of that to be able to build on top of those tools to do that interesting and complex analysis, and then eventually building towards AI and automated predictive analytics. So I want to start by talking about my company, Data Wheel, giving a few examples of some of the tools that we've built. So the journey kind of starts with these three guys here. You see myself here, Dave Landry, Cesar Hidalgo, and the three of us met back in 2009 while I was at Northeastern University. We met in an academic setting working on projects there. Eventually, we started the company together in 2013. And we've really grown to work with data and really provide different solutions and work with different clients to create custom solutions to what they're looking for. We all have a slightly different background. I come from a computer science background, Dave from a more traditional design background, Cesar from network science physics background, and I think we complement each other pretty well. The company has now grown to about 25 people, and our mission statement here is that we are building professional data integration tools to enable large organizations to make data-driven decisions. Whether that's government or private sector, we've worked with a number of different clients and seen a lot of different challenges. So this is the group of us in our office here in Cambridge, where I am right now. This is another group of us in Chile, and we have two different offices. We're kind of split. We have one leg in both continents here. Our office in Concepcion, Chile, obviously a lot sunnier. In Cambridge, snowy. Of course, right now it's summer, so it's not snowy. And here's the team from Concepcion, a really brilliant group of designers, developers, researchers, marketers, and it's honestly been a pleasure growing the team, working with all of them, and seeing their talents kind of blossom as we've taken on some of these different challenges. So again, the problem here is the world is producing so much data. We all know this. This is something pretty commonly understood at this point. And so the challenge here is how we can make sense of that. The solution as we see it is building tools that are translating data into knowledge. And how we do that is by building these custom tailored solutions, everything from the ETL to the design on the front end, and providing those custom solutions for our clients, for them to then make more educated decisions, for them to then use data to fuel that automation, those predictive analytics, all of that. So getting back to this challenge here of first working with that data. And we always like to say that data for AI or automation is sort of like for a baker, the flour for a cake. You need those first ingredients to be able to do those more interesting things, more complex things, and build that cake, which in this case, with the metaphor, those would be the tools that we're building on top of that. So looking a bit closer at this, you see there's actually a even lower tier below that integration, which is all of those different data sets that exist that need to be integrated. And the challenge, it's not necessarily just that we need to get all of that data into a single database, but it's that each of these data sets are owned by different departments. If you're working with government data, the transportation department may have data on traffic. Health department, you have the economic minister that maybe has data on trade, labor, and income, all siloed in different subgroups within the economic ministry. Demographics coming from census data. So how do we integrate all of that? How do we merge all of that? So it's good first, thinking about solving these challenges, looking at the current state of the art. And I don't mean to pick on Argentina or anything here, but here's a little example. And you see someone going to their public open data site, searching for what they're looking for. They find that file. They then click download, and this is what they're given. So there's a single file. They open up an Excel spreadsheet, and it's not exactly the best user experience. That you see maybe a few numbers here. They're taken out of context. There's no visual metaphor or visualization going on here. And just so you know, I'm not picking on Argentina here. Here's what exists in the US, data.gov. And a similar experience, say I'm searching for income data here. On the surface, it looks great. There's a number of different data sets. I can scroll through here. I maybe find the data set that I'm looking for, the median household income. Again, I click on that. I see I can download that data. I download that. And again, same story here. It's a single Excel spreadsheet. It's a number of data points that are taken out of context and they're hard to interpret. The problem here is that humans are bad at interpreting raw numbers, but we're really good at pattern recognition. So how do we combine this level of data, this proliferation of data, combining that with graphics and visual metaphors to then build a set or a suite of tools that can help us make more impactful data-driven decisions? So the metaphor we like to use is this idea of a warehouse. So a furniture company would never send a shopper directly into the warehouse. There's thousands of unmarked boxes. They're on high levels. You don't see exactly what's in those boxes. It would be hard as a shopper to make a decision, to make a correct decision about how they want to furnish their living room or bedroom just based on seeing a bunch of boxes. So a lot of course, the furniture companies know that, so they build these showrooms on top of that. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here at Data Wheel. We're trying to build those data showrooms on top of the warehouse, unpack that different furniture, show how it pairs well together, income data with transportation data, with demographics, and building tools on top of that for users, for data users, to then understand exactly what's in those boxes and help them use that data. So then again, that question is how we do that and how that current paradigm works. So this is that current paradigm, going to a site that aggregates all of these different data sets. You go there, you search what you're looking for, income, population, and you find a single data. And that is this idea of data as files, or this data warehouse paradigm. And what we're trying to do is extract that and turn that into this paradigm of data as stories. And we do that by looking at all of this data, extracting entities, whether that's geographies, for example, Los Angeles, Santiago, Sao Paulo, whatever that geography is, whether that could also be an occupation or an industry, engineering, coal mining, looking at the variables there, and then trying to curate these stories around that, telling stories about the economy, about opportunities, about health. And then the best part, once we do this, we start to build this search engine friendly network of all of these pages. So someone that is looking for the answers, they can then search on Google, they could search on whatever platform they want, find the results that they're looking for, in context with other data. Maybe they came looking for income data, and then they find demographics data. And now they find a whole suite of tools that can enable them to begin their journey of understanding data. So here are a few examples of some of the tools that we built, these data as stories, this model here. You see the Observatory of Economic Complexity, which I'm about to speak about, and Data USA here on the right. Just some short videos. I won't spend too much time there. So starting in 2011, we built the Observatory of Economic Complexity, the most comprehensive visualization engine for world trade. We have 50 years worth of data, over 200 countries, 5,000 different products, all here. And we're now actually about to launch the 5th version of this tool next week that will actually have a freemium model where users can pay for API or bulk data access. 2013, we did a project in Brazil, specifically in the state of Minas Gerais, building a data platform looking at every municipality, industry, occupation, and university within Brazil, and building a tool around that. 2014, we built Pantheon, a really interesting project, a little different from the others, where we're actually looking at cultural exports, and we're quantifying that using Wikipedia data to understand, instead of the complexity of an economy based on the products that they're exporting, we're looking at the complexity or sophistication of the culture of a location based on the globally famous people that are known outside of that culture. And you can answer really interesting questions like, for example, are more famous soccer players from Argentina or from Italy? Are there more computer scientists born in, I don't know, the US or India? And it's a really interesting platform that we continue to maintain. 2016, we launched Data USA. This is a project we did in conjunction with Deloitte. Similar to the others, we have economic data, census data all around the US, and we've now merged over 20 different data sets, and we continue to maintain this and add new features here. 2017, we launched Data Africa, a platform that integrates data from over 13 different countries in Africa. Jobs KSA was in 2017, and this was an internal facing tool in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, looking at employment and occupation flows. 2018, we launched Data Chile with the support of Corfo and the Chilean government to look at geographies, industries, occupations, higher education statistics about Chile. In 2019, we did a project in Estonia, a really interesting project, smaller in scale, but this includes both subnational and international data, internal and external data flows centered around Estonia and the subnational units within there. 2020, just this past year, at the height of COVID, we launched Data Mexico, our most recent and most ambitious project. We're about to launch something called the Viz Builder on that later this year, which will actually allow users to choose various indicators from the platform, and then using some predictive analytics and AI, the platform is actually going to suggest different visualizations or different means in which a user, just by selecting the data set they're interested in, can view that data. So whether that's through maps or tree maps or any of the other different visualizations that we have. And just as a kind of example of some of the impact we've had, you see the US Census site on 2017, Data USA, which we launched in 2016, and then the planned US Census site that's due to come out soon. So you see clearly they're taking a lot of inspiration from the work that we're doing, and we're starting to see this ripple effect now in a lot of different examples throughout there on the web. And I think I'm a little short on time, so I'm not going to spend too much time on how these tools get made. I'll quickly go through this. But again, it starts with us integrating all of that data, getting that from different ministries in the US, whether that's Census or Transportation Department, building all of that together. And then this is the tech stack. I'm an engineer, so I always like to show this, but basically we're starting with the data, moving from left to right, and we're building different layers of complexity on top of that, merging that all together through ETL into a data lake, building dynamic APIs on top of that, which then empower and enable the suite of tools that we have. Those data stories, the CMS, the Viz Builder, the data cart, and other statistics and AI. I'm going to skip talking about the CMS right now and just kind of conclude here on our build process, which is, again, starts with data, moves towards getting designers in there, thinking about how we can build platforms and what are the different visual metaphors we can use to tell the most impactful story. And then, of course, always thinking about what is the user experience and what is the UI to enable those users to find exactly what they're looking for based on their search queries or the things that they're clicking on. And that, of course, is a very iterative cycle, and we continue to update our platforms, and especially when we're launching things, we have a bi-weekly cycle of launching updates, testing them, and improving that process. And here is just the last slide, which is just all together the different projects we've done, and we're working with Peru right now to hopefully launch a project with them towards the second half of this year. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and of course, if there are questions, I know I went over time a little bit here, but thanks to everyone for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that. It's great to hear what you are doing in the US, and I'm sure that all that technology has a lot of applications in Latin America.
Certainly, yeah, and one of the founders, Cesar, he is Chilean, and of course, half of the team being Concepcion, we do quite a bit of work in the region. Like I mentioned, Data Viva, that project in Brazil, that was kind of our start. Data Chile, Data Mexico, and we're hoping to continue. We've done a project in Argentina as well, smaller project. And yeah, we're hoping to continue doing projects in the region and working with different collaborators.
Perfect. I'm just going to take one question. There is quite a few, but I'm going to encourage everybody to liaise with you through the chats if they have any questions, or but I'm going to just put one, and then we'll move to the sessions. Alex from no, this is Lubin Reyes from Custodial, and the question is: my main concern is how data is anonymous. Data can be used by many governments for the benefit of the public. How can firms protect themselves from reputational damage if the data is used to harm a population? Mm-hmm. This is for all Latin America and many nations where GDPR is not exactly their top priority.
Right. Yeah, I think data privacy is definitely a fair concern. All of these platforms are public data, and we believe very strongly in data transparency. And for example, any data that is given to the government should also be shared with its citizens. And the same way, when we're paying taxes with our money, we also expect to have roads built, infrastructure, all of that. For me, at least, I believe the same is true with data. We're also paying with our data. And every time we fill out a census, every time we're paying taxes, that is data we're giving to the government, and those citizens should have access to that as well. Active citizens, journalists, I think we can make a stronger case for the things we're pushing for in government by knowing exactly what they're collecting on us and having that be available. And for us, a lot of these data sets we're working with, again, they've been public. It's not that we are making them public, but we're putting a better lens on them. We're focusing on the search engine optimization so that users that are looking for them find them instead of them being hidden in these arcane websites, in these spreadsheets that you need to open in another application. So we really do believe in data transparency and about protecting people's privacy as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Thank you once again for being part of this LaTeX. We hope to have you next year, hopefully with more case studies and more clients across LATAM.
Yeah, and maybe in person too.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So the rest for us is just to invite you all to join the sessions. We have quite a good number of sessions on fintech, international payments, agri-tech, legal tech. We have also investors discussing how they evaluate investment propositions. They are all simultaneous sessions, so we will encourage you to join the one that you feel more suitable to you. After the sessions, we will have in the stage a technology regulatory panel with leading law firms across Latin America that will discuss anything that is happening in the last year in terms of technology. And after that, we will invite you to visit our expo where we have plenty of companies, members of the chamber, specialists in technology. And at the end of the event, we have a specific time for networking. So then when you be able to meet all the speakers that are having sessions, but also fellow delegates. So please just follow the icon in red on the left-hand side when for menu when we are moving from session to session, and then interact with us through the chat throughout the event. We encourage you to ask the questions for the specific sessions within the session itself, so we are able to pass this to all moderators. But we look forward to the event, and we look forward to having a moment to have a chat at the end of the event. So that's all for me. My colleague Susana was going to join us, but hopefully you will get to meet the other chambers during the event. Let's move